What is the most disturbing fact about the human body? You develop cancerous cells every day. But your immune system deals with it. Usually. Well, just this week there was a woman in her late 20s who died of a toothache. She had posted on Facebook about needing a dentist over the weekend and decided to wait till Monday. Sunday morning she was gone. The infection went to her brain. Scientists once took a swab of the inside of an American man's belly button to observe the bacteria that lived there. They found bacteria previously only known to exist in Japan. The man had never traveled outside of the US. So you never know what other country's bacteria you're carrying in your belly button. My husband is a neat freak. Showers once or twice daily. At the time of his belly button incident he was about 50, had a not too big beer belly with a belly button that is a small slit and definite innie. We were sitting in swimsuits out by our pool with friends. We were laughing and joking around. As I watched my husband laugh, there was something sticking in and out as he laughed. We got a flashlight and tweezers. That's when I went to work. I put the tweezers in his belly button, and grabbed something. As I pulled on it, my husband could feel it pulling back. It was attached. I pulled harder, then this flat, dark, dried raisin-looking thing detached and came out. We were all so grossed out and laughing hysterically at the same time. I don't know what country that Scooby snack was from, but Japan is definitely plausible. The prescription acne medication Accutane turns your bones green. I learned this working in a bone and tissue donor center where sometimes you'd get kids, or adults, who'd been on the stuff and their bones were either bright green or a darker forest green depending on how long ago, how many treatments they had. We wouldn't reject the donor or anything, the bones are still fine, they're just green. I have a lot of weird stories from this place. Edit, it could be minocycline and not Accutane. All the processing techs I worked with swore it was Accutane though. I noticed this after my abdominal surgery. When I turned over in bed my guts seemed to fall from one side to the other. Mentioned to my doc and she confirmed it was my bowels rearranging themselves. Apparently the doctor just throws your intestines back in their higgledy-piggledy because there isn't a correct way to pack them neatly. Period cramps are essentially your womb suffocating itself. To get the uterine lining out of your womb during your period, your uterus has to contract. Sometimes, when the contractions are stronger, your womb squeezes its blood vessels so tight that oxygen can't reach them, which sends pain signals to your brain, ouch. But wait, there's more. This process increases your production of chemicals called prostaglandins, which encourage more contractions of the uterus. There really is no mercy. There are a vast number of ways that your body can malfunction and kill you with little or no warning. An aneurysm can go undetected until it bursts and kills you. Getting hit in the chest just the right way can stop your heart. You can encounter an allergen that never previously provoked an immune response that freaks out your body so badly that you die. You literally just never know if your body will just die. They can come at any age too. My, then, 11-month-old son suffered a ruptured brain aneurysm 18 months ago. No symptoms leading up to it and the surgeons told us there was no way to see it coming. The exact words were unbelievably shitty luck. Without a very fortunate, specific chain of events, we'd have lost him. After 15 hours of brain surgery, 3 weeks in a coma/PICU, bronchitis with reventilation and finally COVID, we were home 6 weeks later. He started walking in March of this year and now following his latest assessment, he's not even behind developmentally. The human body is incredible. Your immune system doesn't know your eyes exist, if it did it would attack them and make you go blind. An estimated 60% of cancers arise from non-modifiable risk factors. In other words, they are not due to any lifestyle choices and they are not preventable. Source in the description if anyone is interested. This study is just one data point that fits with the broader epidemiological data that also suggests /40% of cancer is preventable. People that have severe epilepsy can get a procedure done to cut the corpus callosum which connects the two sides of the brain, and allows them to talk to each other. Once this happens your image identification side can't talk to your words side, and causes issues if you aren't able to look at an item with both eyes. Otherwise patients act mostly the same. So if you were asked to cover UI that sends info to your language center, and then shown a ball to look at for your object identifying center you wouldn't be able to tell what it is out loud. Your brain would still be recognizing it, but wouldn't be able to provide the word for it. As well as some other interesting stuff. Fortunately it is very rare to get this done these days as medication has become more effective, so this procedure is a last resort sort of thing. My little sister was born without a corpus callosum. It comes with some hearing, learning, and vision disabilities, but it lets her do some weird shit too. She's fully ambidextrous to the point where she can draw with her left hand, pretty well too, and write normally with her right. She's colorblind in one eye but not the other, but the colorblind one is so sensitive to light she can see pretty well in pitch darkness. She gets an excuse to wear cool glasses that have one side blacked out. 8% of our DNA is actually from viruses. There is more bacteria DNA than human DNA in you. And don't get me started on the amount of fungus living on our skin. Wounds and bone breaks are actively held together by your body, more specifically, the collagen it produces that acts like glue. If you don't eat enough vitamin C and get scurvy, you won't produce enough collagen, old wounds will reopen and long-healed bones could break apart again. Collagen also holds your teeth in, so they loosen and can fall out. Eat some fruit, folks. Don't push that parsley to the side of your plate. Our vaginas have enough acid in them to disintegrate a bug. I could have disintegrated a bug with my gorilla grip and didn't even know it. Your life is currently on a timer of around 6 minutes. After 6 minutes, you will die. Every time you breath, this timer is reset. Heartstrings are a real thing. The proper name is chordae tendineae. If you thought pulling on the heartstrings was just an expression with no basis in anatomy, it does actually relate to a real kind of tendon in the body. That our immune system has cells specifically engineered to fight every illness physically possible, and other cells have the specific job of searching for them within our body when they are needed. Once they get activated once, they are active for the rest of your life. It's why you can only get many diseases once. After that first time, your immune system can skip the startup phase of curing you and get right to the germ fighting. I always thought it was insane to see people performing crazy acts of strength that leaves people broken for a few months. I recall a story where a 100-pound woman threw a car off of her baby. She clenched her teeth so hard she shattered all of them and couldn't move for days. I always wondered how we can trigger that response in people like strongmen to see the absolute limit of humanity's strength. Or have a league of boxers where they openly take steroids and adrenaline before fights. There's an internal mental lock that prevents people from using 100% of their strength at any given time. That's why you can't, say, rip off your own finger, without some kind of outside assistance. In situations like a parent lifting a car off their child, keeping in mind that it's not lifting and clearing the car, but just lifting a portion of the weight, the brain chemistry gets all kinds of messed up where the protect my child drive overrides the don't break your body signal. Studies have shown that the brain acts as a central regulator, and for something like the example to happen, the primal part of your brain throws everything else aside. Without your brain sending the stop signal to the rest of your body, there's no pain limiter there, so you're able to use 100% of your strength all at once. And, as you described above, the crash afterward is going to be brutal. The head can be twisted around about 3.5 times before coming off. The brain is an organ who doesn't really understand himself. When you dream is one side of your brain lying to the other. And the one who's been lied to, believe it enough to feel it. It can die really easily sometimes. A scratch on your hand could cause sepsis and you die. You could die from shock. You could just have an aneurysm or a stroke and die. Any one of us could die without any real warning, and if you live alone, you might not be found for a long time. The number one symptom of heart disease is sudden death. The brain will protect itself even if it means misery to you or death. Inhaling smoke in the middle of a burning house? Brain will make you stop breathing and pass out. Stuck in the middle of a cold place? You will fall asleep to conserve energy and never wake up again. Does your brain need more oxygen? You faint in the middle of a busy road. Had your leg torn off by a bear? Here's adrenaline so you can save your brain even if there's a huge risk of infection or further injury. Is your brain experiencing too much stress? It will make you drink alcohol or resort to drugs. You and your brain work together most of the time, but when push comes to shove, you are sacrificed. If your brainstem, the part of the brain that mediates most motor control for all of the body, is damaged, you can get locked-in syndrome. That means you're fully conscious and aware of your surroundings but unable to move or speak. The only muscles that remain unaffected in most people are the muscles that move the eyes and the eyelids. You're essentially trapped within your own body with your only way of communication being blinking or moving your eyes. It can be caused by toxins, blockage of the basilar artery which is the main artery of the brainstem, or other brainstem damage. This is my biggest fear. I'd much rather have my body be emptied like a tube of toothpaste by a dump truck tire than have this happen to me. It dies. It stations trillions of cells and auto-repairing them every moment. It survives disasters and can create miracles, and it can revolutionize another trillion cells to partner up with. It produces variants, it creates and controls, it harnesses 1,000,000 gigabytes of data. Its mass is enough to span over the globe and its will can beat up its own disabilities. Yet it dies. That's why we should never give up the chance for possibilities, to revolutionize another trillion cells, creating miracles, beating up its disabilities and make even more cells that don't belong to you live better. Having a life is the most disturbing fact about the human body. It can bring up things, tear them down, it exists somehow through an uneasy process, but it can cease itself in that one wrong command from the brain. On the other hand, however, life can also be a blessing. That the placebo effect is way stronger than most people think. In Vsauce's video on the subject, a kid suffering from constant seizures stopped having the seizures, I'm pretty sure entirely. And all because they put him in a machine that they said healed him when in reality it did nothing. It may seem like we know a lot about the human brain, but our standard way of studying brain activity is in fMRI, where a single pixel contains over 3 million neurons. That is more than many vertebrate animals' entire brains. The truth is, we really have no idea how the brain gives rise to consciousness. Even if we somehow perfectly worked out all the neural correlates of consciousness so we could say a mental state happens if and only if some exact pattern of brain activity happens, we would still have the hard problem of consciousness. Why do these physical processes give rise to raw subjective experience, rather than just happening in the dark? Not sure if this is by design, but I totaled my car once, almost completely uninjured somehow. Then I looked down to my right hand, which I remember jabbing into my dashboard at 55 miles per hour. Luckily, unluckily, only my pinky took the blow. But instead of a floppy udder full of bone sand, my pinky was 0.5 inches long. Broke no bones, but instead perfectly stacked my phalanges, or finger bones, into my hand. This is fixed by a muscular Russian nurse grabbing your pinky with both hands and pulling very hard. God, I wish they gave me more lidocaine. No one knows why we have to sleep. We have theories, but no universally agreed upon or accepted one. The reason we spend a third of our lives incapacitated and unaware is still a mystery. The human butthole can expand to a size large enough to fit 2 raccoons. When we defibrillate someone who's in an unsuitable rhythm, we're basically just shutting off their heart and hoping it will turn back on by itself in a normal pattern. That's why you don't shock asystole, there's nothing to turn off. Defibrillation is like hitting the reboot switch in the computer. Hopefully the problem will solve itself when you turn it off and it'll return to normal function. Not the most disturbing, but bones are made of living tissue that breaks down and rebuilds consistently. Progesterone, for a fab, and testosterone, for a mab, ensure this rebuilding, meaning that if you lose those for an extended time, long-term loss of period or unnaturally low testosterone, you'll get osteopenia, your bones will have holes in them. Second bonus fact for AFOBs, if you for any reason lose your reproductive hormones for years, your uterus and ovaries shrink like raisins, and it takes time to get them back to their original form. The fastest killing virus takes around 4 days to kill you. That would be Ebola. Your immune system can kill you in 15 minutes. Your fingernails grow 4 times as fast as your toenails. Babies are born with 300 bones, adults have 206. Eyelashes last about 150 days. The heart circulates blood through your body about 1,000 times each day. You make about half a quart, 500 milliliters, of spit each day. The smallest bone in your body is in your ears. Your blood has the same amount of salt in it as the ocean does. A sneeze blows air out of your nose at 100 miles per hour. Your fingers and toes have no muscles. All the muscles that control them via tendons are in your forearms and lower legs. Your fingers are like puppets on strings. Sweet dreams. There are more molecules in your finger than there are fingers on planet Earth. Cannibals have described the eye being the tastiest part of the body. Your butthole print is more unique than your fingerprint. Thanks Salvador Dalí for that discovery. A female is born with every egg they'll ever release from the ovaries. Therefore, a pregnant woman who is carrying a female child is also carrying the eggs of her grandchildren. Some people suffer from exploding head syndrome, which causes them to hear a loud bang when they wake up. that your body's immune system can attack things designed to save its life. As a possible candidate for heart transplant in the not too distant future, this terrifies me. After I get a new ticker, I will have to take strong drugs to suppress my immune system so my body doesn't attack the heart. And, as one might imagine, a suppressed immune system can make the body vulnerable to infections, cancer and other fun stuff. There's a list of things one isn't supposed to do, like swim in ponds, dig up dirt, aspergillus, or take care of turtles, salmonella, and one can't drink grapefruit juice because it mucks with the anti-rejection drugs. I wish I could keep my same hardware till death, but dilated cardiomyopathy has other ideas. When people are close to death in the nursing home, they'll reach out and grab your hand with a death grip, randomly. People that aren't there at all. Gone from dementia. Close to death, like their kidneys stopped working, abs there on death's doorstep. They'll reach out to you and just hold onto your hand like what's left of them is trying to keep them out of the grave. It's freaking creepy. Stabbing someone is hard. It takes a lot of force. Not going in, but pulling the knife out again. When you stab someone, the muscles contract around the object and make it difficult to just pull back out. That's why you see hunting knives with a long groove going down the length of the blade. It's so there isn't a suction effect and you can pull the blade out a bit easier. Until surprisingly recently, 70s or 80s? Doctors generally believed that infants did not feel pain and routinely operated on them without anesthesia. What disturbs me most is the thought that the human body is basically an interface device for your consciousness. You're basically a brain in a haptic feedback meat suit, and so far no one's been able to prove if it's just really good VR or existence in its actuality. There are 1,000 types of parasites that can live in the human body. There are only tests for 50 to 60 of them. I'm sorry everyone, but they asked. Inside that sweet soft-skinned skull of your toddler is 2 entire sets of teeth lining the inside of their jawbone and lower skull. That most of the human body is not human. Bacteria, fungus and other biome cells outnumber the actual human cells in your body by about 5 to 1, by current estimates. Firodysplasia ossificans progressiva is a disease that is undetectable, and the cause is not known. It appears when your muscle cells start being replaced with bone cells. Eventually, over a year, your body locks up until you're entirely locked in and you suffocate. As always, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, show your support. Leave your thoughts and opinions down below.